He's got Tutu with him. It's Ioane, in fact. Enrico Ioane.
Just on that, was sort of not something I thought we were going to talk about, but with Omua, because he, like I said, he was eligible for Samoa, eligible for Fiji. He decided to forego that to try his luck with the All Blacks. It doesn't look like it's working out. But in Moana, they got this wing, Kyren Taumoefolau, who's played for Tonga, and he's actually he's been carving up. He's had a great year for Moana on the wing. He's looking at making the move the other way and giving up Tonga and going to the All Blacks. So you got any thoughts on that? Do you like that? Because I know that's not really what the rule change, this 3-year stand-down period was brought in for. It was really to try to uplift these tier 2 nations in a lot of ways. Not for the second tier guys to try their luck the other way. But do you like that? Because I'm a bit 50-50 on that one. Do you like his...
I guess the contentious thing is, if those are the regulations, those are the rules that World Rugby has stipulated, then it can work both ways. Obviously, from a Tier 1 nation, as you mentioned, if you've played, if it's been 3 years since you've played for a Tier 1 nation, you then qualify and are eligible to play for a two-tier nation, a Tier 2 nation, sorry. And then the reverse of that, if you've already played for the Pacific nations or any nation in the second tier, you then qualify when you're deemed, good enough. And he's been in spectacular form. But the only risk to that is that, how much game time, let alone how many tests will he get out of that window once he makes himself eligible, because it's congested, especially on the wing. You've got the incumbents that are there, the Caleb Clarks, the Sevu Reeses, Mark Telea, those three. But then you've got these other guys who come into the equation. You got Tangitau. Caleb Tangitau is already representing the New Zealand Sevens, gone down to Highlander country to try and become more, to get some more game time, and he's put on a good showing, just like Taumoefolau. But then you've got a Leroy Carter out of the Chiefs as well. That's another one who's put on a good showing. But then, Sean Stevenson's still in that, where do you go? So he's risking, with 2027 not too far away, there's only one more super season or two more super seasons before that after this year. He risks being ineligible for that. If he doesn't, he might get a cap or two this year, next year, but then he might not get a Rugby World Cup because he might not get selected. I guess that's what they weigh up, and that's the risk that they want to, and that's the risk you take for something that you really want. And the All Blacks jersey is something that a lot of people desire, but it will come at the expense of, either representing not only Tonga, as he already has, but being included at a Rugby World Cup in 2027 in Australia.
Yeah,
there's so many angles and perspectives that you can look at it. He's a good enough player. There's not many that have that sort of that predicament to contend with, and he's one that's already represented. And we can go back to Ethan Athewa way back when, having played one game for Fiji and then he tried to put all the stops in to try and become eligible for the All Blacks. And he was by all accounts, he was good enough to play for the All Blacks when he was playing Super Rugby for the Blues. But, it's then, do you then just settle for becoming a super player when he could just continue with Fiji? Can Kyren just continue playing for Tonga and try and achieve well with them, Ikalitahi in a few years' time at the World Cup, or push for higher honours? And if that's what he does, then all the power to him, all the best. It's a predicament, that coaches probably don't want their players to dwell on too much because you want them to concentrate on the rugby. But if he hasn't played for 3 years, is it 3 years come the end of this year, or is it next year? And that's the risk that he takes.
Played last year, but 3 years is a long time, man, as well. So being awesome this year, like you think about who was awesome 3 years ago. Hoskins Tutu was good 3 years ago. He's on the outs now. So you never know what your form looks like. And I think of someone like Joelle Fundiri.
Yep. Joelle was,
was
one
a
of the
gun.
original 3-year stand-downs.
He was a gun for those 3 years, and then when he finally was ready, he wasn't as good as he was.
Yeah.
So
You got one or two tests out of that after that.
Yeah. But you're right, wing is so congested. We talked about the guys you mentioned. Ichakimuni Nara was another guy who's in there.
I didn't even mention their money.
Yeah, we just talked about Shafi Haki before.
Naholo.
He's another one. Yeah, there's just outside backs galore.
Yeah.
So I rate him. I think he's a gun. It's going to be hard. But, hey, if he wants to do it, good on him. It just feels a bit uncomfortable, I think. I thought the rules were going to benefit the tier 2 nations.
And I guess that's the contentious issue around what's the purpose of Moana Pasifika as well in Super Rugby. You're meant to try and bridge that gap from Pacific players trying to become professionals and go higher honours with their respective island nations. But I guess that's always, Moana they were always transparent at the beginning, I believe, about that 20%. So whether Kyle, he fits under the current, he fits outside that 20% eligible for any other nation outside of the Pacific nations.
Yeah.
So currently he's in Ikalitahi because he just played last year. But then I guess at the end of the day, so he fits under that he fits under that prerequisite per se for Moana Pasifika, but given the international regulations, he can still be eligible for the All Blacks if he, doesn't.
You know what? That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do that for our next podcast. I want to check everyone's eligibility. I want to make sure that 80-20 rule is still in force.
Yeah, well,
that it does feels like no one's actually checking it.
But you'd be silly not to uphold that if that's what it is, because you just look at it. You got Ari Savia. He's one of that 20%. Who else have we got? It's played. You got Tomasi Savage. So again, he's an international for, is it Wales?
Yes.
So again, another one that falls under that 20%. Those are the only two obvious ones that come to mind. Julian Savia was initially, but I mean, it depends. But then he's long fallen outside that three-year bracket, so he's sort of in.
Yeah, they might be all right actually.
Yeah, because when you look at the squad, predominantly Pacific, Tonga and Samoa.
What about Pellegrini? What's he? Is he
Tongan? He's Tongan international, so he would have just played for them last year as well. Havili.
Yeah, that's good then. Yeah, they're probably way under. So that's all good.
Yeah, because if you're looking at a 30, what's the roster? 30 or more? I think it's more.
30 man. Oh no, it must be because you're playing 23 each week. So it must be more than that. Yeah.
Yeah. Rugby league is 30, but rugby union super would be probably mid to high 30s.
I'd say so.
And then what's 20% of that?
Yeah. No,
like six players. 5.
I think they would like to have more, but they can't get any All Blacks to come over.
Yeah. So I bet that'll be interesting to see where his journey goes, and because there's a lot said about him and his athleticism, his skill set, and his raw speed as well. So, but it's made for interesting spectacles, because there's some amazing wingers going out there at the moment. So, and he's just another one that's added his name to the pool of possibilities.
Mm-hmm.